understand when managers come out after a game, they have to come up with some kind of positives. I get that. But to suggest there were positives from that performance and that result last night, I think that's maybe pushing it a little bit too much. Do you or not?
Yeah, that's a phrase that coaches often trot out after a game because they don't just want to be as brutally honest as perhaps they might have been moments before in the dressing room with the players. Clearly, what's happening so far for Graham, the way he's going about it at West Ham is not working. I was never totally convinced it was the right fit for West Ham anyway, Graham. I'm not.
What, because of the manager or the style?
Because I think Graham's a coach that puts too much emphasis on the way that the team are playing rather than getting results. West Ham is one of those clubs where you've got to get results. If you don't get results at West Ham, you very, very quickly find yourself backed into a corner, up against it.
But aren't all clubs like that, Ed?
Well, yes, they are, to a degree, they are. But I think West Ham is one of those clubs where you can find life can be very difficult and particularly uncomfortable if you're not winning enough matches. And again, it's a particular bugbear of mine at the moment, Andy, because I feel too many coaches are insistent on a way to play. I've just watched Brendan Rodgers' team last night, who were as bad as I've ever seen Celtic, I think, last night. They were so bad. But again, playing so slowly and so predictably. Russell Martin has gone into Rangers. Glasgow Rangers, a club that, whenever you watch a Rangers game on the telly, you can see the fans' teeth, where they're gritted teeth, where they're so passionate about their club and what they want. And yet, he wants to roll it around from one defender to another, back to another defender, back to a goalie and back to another defender. And I'm sort of staggered a little bit at the way some of these guys are approaching the jobs that they do.
We'll come back to the manager in just a moment. Let's talk about the players, the captain, Jared Bowen. That moment, that incident, the frustration starting to creep through some of the players, not just him.
I've done that.
You tell me when you've done it and what happened.
I've done it. I did it at Chelsea. Someone was having a go at me, and I remember turning round to this bloke, and I give him a mouthful back. He was effing and jeffing at me. I gave him it back. And of course, what you don't see, you see the guy that said it to you, but you're not aware of who's around that person. And what I did, which was wrong, I gave this bloke a mouthful back, and there were kids a couple of rows in front of him. Didn't hear probably a word of what he said, but quite clearly heard everything that I said. And Batesy fined me 2 weeks' wages.
And when you're doing that, like Jared, for argument's sake, yesterday, that's pure frustration coming through, isn't it?
It is frustration. And when you consider what's happened to him against Sunderland, and then a pasting they took against Chelsea at home. They go up to Wolves and look like that things are going okay, and then at the last few minutes, it's another defeat. It's a frustrating business, and it's not always quite so easy to bite your lip. Every now and again, you just react and you do say something. Now, to be fair to Jared, he has turned around and apologised. He has said that he wants everyone, back at it on Sunday, and everyone's got to be pulling together, etc., which is the right thing to do. I'm sure the West Ham fans, knowing those fans, not famously, but I've been there so many times over the years, I would think that they would take that on board, that they'll respect that. They don't want to see the player. They don't want to see this blown out of all proportion going down.
No.
And putting Jared Bowen's potential West Ham future at risk in any way, shape or form. Heat of the moment thing. Take it on the chin, everybody concerned, and move on.
Last question, because Rover, I want to get your view on this. West Ham, next 4 games: Forest away, Spurs at home, Palace at home, and Everton away. Although I find myself now looking at games in the Premier League, there's no easy games. My question on the back of that is, we've got, less than a week to go before the window closes. If West Ham do not improve that squad, how much trouble could they be in?
Oh, look, I think it's going to be a tough season for them anyway. And I think all coaches nowadays are entitled to feel the support and the backing from their owners, and they want that in terms of players. They want that in terms of funds made available. And if they don't get it, they can, I think, justifiably, as a Premier League coach in this day and age, feel a bit shortchanged. Listen, Graham's got to start winning some games by hook or by crook. Never mind all these brilliant forward-thinking methods. I heard Karen Brady going on here. Graham's a great forward-thinking coach. Forget about all the forward-thinking. How about you get some immediacy into what you're doing and get a win under your belt.
Just yes or no, because we've got to go to the ads.
Go on.
Will he be there at Christmas?
Yes, because they don't sack their managers, West Ham.
Will he be there at the end of the season?
Not so sure.
Okay. Talking about the door, West Ham fans must be worried about Jared Bowen because he wasn't happy yesterday. He went over to the fans. There's a bit of confrontation. The manager's not happy as well. The fans aren't happy with the manager. It's all a bit messy at West Ham. What do you, the West Ham fan, make of it? 03717 223344. Oh, I haven't got my faders. If you could put them on. Ryan, if you can fade up Ryan for me. Ryan's a West Ham fan. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, gents. Afternoon. How are we doing?
We're good, thanks for asking. How are you today, man? Are you all right? You well?
Yeah, I'm very well. Obviously, not very well with West Ham. Just one thing you just said there, by the way. I can't see Jared Bowen going anywhere. Not just because I think he actually likes being a West Ham player, but also because his father-in-law is Danny Dyer, so he don't want to mess with him, really, does he?
If you go down, he'll go, right?
Oh, you have to go in that. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, for the sake of his career, and he deserves better. And I think as well, he has to be the captain. There's no one else really in that team. You can maybe argue Wan-Bissaka and a couple of others.
No, I agree.
There's no one else in that team that starts every week. So he has to be the captain as well. So there's no question on that either.
Let me ask you a question. I'll cut straight to the chase. Your manager, do you want him in or out?
I want him in. I liked him before he joined West Ham, and I thought he got done over at Chelsea a bit because they had 65 players to pick from, and that's always really difficult. I think he's actually had the opposite problem at West Ham. I think he's had not enough players to pick from. That being added to the fact we've sold arguably one of our best free players to Tottenham. I don't think he's been backed enough. I think you'll give him more time. I do think we're overreacting. I'm not a massive stats person, but in the Sunderland game, they didn't even put up over a goal XG Sunderland. So it was hardly like they'd won 3-0. It was flattering. The game the other day, it was poor keeping from the goalkeeper and really poor defending from the defence. He's got to have time to get players in that he wants and give him a good run up to Christmas with the team that he wants, everyone fit and firing, and just see where we can get to. I think it's too hasty at the minute. Everyone's trying to chuck him out straight away.
Ryan, where do you see yourself finishing up this year with what you've got? Look, there's only a couple of days to improve the squad. Let's create a scenario where you don't get anything else through the door. Where are you going to end up?
I think we're going to end up, even if with no one through the door, we would get relegated this season, or we would at least be down there. The midfield isn't up to it. Bizarrely, we're selling more of them as well. We're selling Rodriguez and we've sold Alvarez. Whether that's Potter doesn't like them or whatever, we shouldn't be selling players in a moment where we're not getting results. We should be getting the players in and then getting the players out the door off the back of that. And I know there's PSR and all the other stuff. I just think as a team, if you've got to back the manager. The manager needs back in. He needs to get through the transfer window, get the players in he wants, and then see him through till autumn, winter time, and then see where we're at Christmas. That's what I think.
Ryan, thanks for your call. Let's go to Trevor. Good calls as always. Hi, Trevor, West Ham fan.
How you doing? All right?
I'm good, Trev. You all right today? You well?
Good. Yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah, good. First time caller actually.
Oh, why is that?
I haven't got through for the previous few times, but never mind. Yeah.
Well, you are through now. You can say whatever you like about your team, West Ham.
For West Ham, for the last 10 years, all we've done is gone and got who's available, the managers who are available. We've never gone and got who we want, who we think's acceptable for the club. You know, Brighton go out and get De Zerbi, go and get the guy that's there now. They pay the fees and get them. You know, Bournemouth done the same with Areola. You know, we just go, oh, David Moyes is available. We'll have him twice. You know, he's available twice. You know, the last guy, J-Lo, he was available. We'll get him. Potter's available. Oh, we'll have him. Why don't we go and get who we want for the club? You know, that's you know. We've signed 2 free agents this year.
But isn't that where available. West Ham are at the moment?
No, of course not. Well, Bournemouth and Brighton any better than us? Like, you know, when they went and got their manager.
Fair point. Yeah.
I mean, you've had Trev. You've had across the board. You've had vastly experienced. You've had winners at other clubs. You've had young British coaches, etc., etc. You've had a fair old variation in there as well.
Yeah, but we've only got them because they're available.
Yeah, but you mentioned the other clubs, right? Let's take Oliver Glasner at Palace. Right?
Oh, yeah, he's the other one. Yeah,
okay,
Palace,
but you're talking about managers that look really, really good now, right? When those clubs signed them, you know, there wasn't a whole host of other big name clubs after them. I think you were after Glasner for a bit, right?
Yeah, Yeah, but we need to go and do our homework and go and find these people.
Yeah,
you know,
okay, there is that.
No one had heard of the Brighton guy. What's his name? He's 34 years old, 32 years old.
Yeah,
Brighton identified him, and they probably knew as soon as the Zerbi was out the door, they were going to go and get him. They paid the 6-8 million, whatever the compensation is, and they go and get him. Listen, I would have kept David Moyes. We offered him a contract. He sat on it, and he didn't want to sign it. I would have kept him. But it's just all been downhill the last 10 years. Since moving to the stadium. We moved on a high. We finished really high with Bilic, and Payet was ripping it up. We moved to the stadium. It's just all gone downhill. We was going to the stadium thinking we'd give it a chance. The atmosphere's terrible. The only good few years at the stadium was in the European years, but it was the foreign teams bringing the atmosphere. Little Danish teams bringing 4,000 or 5,000 over, creating the atmosphere. I went to a lot of them games. I don't go anymore. You stop going. It's so sad, but we need to find our own identity and go and say, right, we want him. And he's going to play the way we want to play. Potter needs to go. He needs to change his style. Try and shore it all up, go to 4 at the back, put a couple of these kids in. We've got a load of good kids there, and he's not playing them. Why didn't he play them last night?
Trev, listen,
I don't get it.
I hear your pain. Thank you for your call. It's very
Thanks,
kind.
Trev.
Do you know what? He mentioned the stadium there. I don't think, and I'm just saying this off the top of my head, so if you think differently, let me know. I don't know of any other club where moving stadium killed them as much as it did West Ham.
Has affected them. I think it did initially, of course, for a while. I certainly have also been at the London Stadium over the last 18 months where it's got an awful lot better. There was that little spell where a lot of the punters were waiting for the owner and all the hierarchy that wherever they were sat, because where I commentate from, looking out on the pitch, you can see everyone's faces looking back, and they're looking back at the owners and wanting to have a dip at them. But I have also noticed, and it's got a lot better at West Ham. But I just wish some of these guys, some of these coaches now would just have a bit more emphasis on getting a job done, getting over the line in matches, rather than always trotting out these same platitudes about how we're playing and how we're doing it. I find that very, very frustrating. I think West Ham fans just want to see their team get a bit of momentum, winning a couple of games on the spin.
Okay.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.